Our team specifically looks at things that we're doing or things that are happening across the company that are really important to communicating how Microsoft is thinking about open source as a company, or engaging in new and different ways. So this becoming a platinum sponsor of the Apache Foundation, for example, is something that I think indicates a new level of engagement, and we really wanted to make sure people are aware of that broadly. But a lot of what goes on is really product group specific. In some respects, it's probably true that the whole of Microsoft and open source is greater than the sum of the parts that you're likely to see. And if you start to dig into a particular area, you'll find a product group like System Center is working with an open source project and community called Open Pegasus. It's an important part of their product strategy, but it's not necessarily something that there's some sort of dedicated marketing campaign around that is intended to reach everyone in the world, as opposed to people who actually use the System Center product as IT administrators. I've really seen this trend where Microsoft customers, heavy users of Microsoft technologies, people who who have endorse the value proposition of Windows Server, Exchange, are actually asking their account teams, asking Microsoft, I use these PHP applications, for example. I would really like to use, I'd really like to run them on Windows Server. I'd really like to use Active Directory with these applications. And so it's really a noticeable trend where open source is clearly a part of the data center of the IT environment. There are Microsoft technologies that are clearly a part, and they're really looking to Microsoft or others to basically say, how are those things better together? Our sales folks, and they're the folks who also have to compete with other products, but it's really demonstrated that working with open source is also an opportunity for them. It's not all about competition. It can really be about making your customers happy. If you're asking this question, do you believe that there's value in open source? And then I'd say, we're listening to our customers and our engineers, many of whom, an increasing number of whom, have experience with open source as users or developers, before they started their job, are kind of looking at the same things you are, and saying, we see a lot of adoption of PHP applications, and we're running it in a test lab, or we're going to PHP conferences and understanding why do users like it, what's going on in that community, and obviously working with the PHP community is something that's been going on for a while at Microsoft, probably over a year now, and it's just continuing. It's leading to very pragmatic, customer-focused decisions. So, all points to a pragmatic, case-by-case evaluation of, what meets customer needs, how do you combine things in interesting ways, and if you believe open source has some value, that shouldn't really surprise you. That should just make sense. Democratizing development is a thing that's really exciting to me, and personally, if I think back to when I was first writing code, 10 years old, I didn't have a modem, never mind the concept that you could actually interact with others and it could be a social activity. When I think about that late 1980s period when Microsoft, which at the time was pretty innovative, giving away the SDKs for free and API documentation for free, was really enabling this explosion of little businesses to build applications. I think open source has really just it's taken it to a new level, right? There's sort of forges in collaboration, and new ways to license or distribute or build a business around software, collaborate, and I think you're seeing another wave of democratizing software development, and that in itself is exciting, and I think if Microsoft can play a role in helping that grow, that's I think it's both exciting and it's kind of personally fulfilling, and I think at the end of the day it's also probably good business.